Here's 10 questions about thoracic outlet syndrome. Adam here from Training Massage, where you're going to learn the best self-massage techniques and exercises to relieve your pain and improve your mobility. And the first question that we're going to be starting off with is, what is thoracic outlet syndrome? Thoracic outlet syndrome, or TOS, is a group of conditions in which the nerves or the blood vessels coming out of the neck and going into the shoulder becomes compressed. This area right here between the neck and the shoulder is known as the thoracic outlet. So basically anything that's creating compression on the nerves, whether it's muscles, fascia, or even bones, will be considered thoracic outlet syndrome. Question number 2, what are the symptoms of TOS? Symptoms can vary depending on what's getting compressed, but because these blood vessels and the nerves run right next to each other, there's a good chance that you may end up compressing on both of them at the same time. Now, those symptoms you may feel is pain going into the shoulder, down the arm, and even into the fingers. Even feel weakness or even numbness in that arm, shoulder, and fingers. This brings us to question number 3, which is what causes thoracic outlet syndrome? And besides an anomaly of being born with an extra rib that's creating that compression, you may also get TOS by simply getting injured in this area. You can also get it by performing the same repetitive movements over and over, which is going to shorten and restrict the muscles and the fascia around it, which is then going to compress on the blood vessels and the nerves. You can get it from things like bad posture and even carrying a bag on one shoulder, because now you get this constant compression from your strap. Now this brings us to question number 4, which is, how is thoracic outlet syndrome diagnosed? To diagnose TOS, this usually involves some kind of physical examination and imagery like x-rays or MRIs. On top of that, you may get a special test in which you're going to see if your nerves are actually damaged or not. And besides both of those, I also have 2 at-home tests you can do right now to see which muscles is creating compression on your nerves and your blood vessels. If you'd like to check that video out, you can click on the link in the top right corner, or I'll leave it in the description below. Question number 5. What are the different types of thoracic outlet syndrome? Now there are 3 types, with the first one being neurogenic thoracic outlet syndrome. And this is the most common type in which the nerves are the ones that are getting compressed. Now the next one is called venous thoracic outlet syndrome, and this is basically when the veins are becoming compressed, which may result in things like blood clots. And the third and least common type is going to be the arterial thoracic outlet syndrome. And this is when your arteries is going to get compressed, which may result in something like an aneurysm. And yes, more than one of these can get compressed at the same time, since they do run next to each other. Question number 6, who is at risk for developing TOS? In today's day and age, almost anyone can develop TOS because we live in a digital world on a computer. The idea here is that anyone who has to perform repetitive movements with their arms, like an athlete, keyboard warriors, or even manual labor, is going to be at risk for developing TOS. On top of that, women are more likely to develop TOS, which I believe is because they have that extra weight on their chest pulling down and creating that compression. And plus they also carry the purse on one shoulder, which may also create that compression as well. Question number 7, how is TOS treated? Well, this is going to depend on what kind of TOS you have. If your compression is created by an extra rib, then you're most likely going to need some kind of surgery to remove that rib and get rid of that compression. But if your compression is from something like an overactive muscle or fascia restriction from things like the pec minor or the scalenes, or you can have something like the subclavius pulling down on the collarbone into the first rib, which then squeezes the nerves and the blood vessels, then my answer to you is to self-massage all these muscles in order to release them and relax them to get rid of that compression.
But Adam, what about physical therapy?
This brings us to the next question. Can thoracic outlet syndrome be prevented? Yes, it can, and it's going to be through exercises, more specifically exercises in the opposite direction you're already going, which is what you're already doing in physical therapy. Let's go back to who's at risk. It's going to be anyone who uses their arms repetitively, but more importantly, they're using it consistently in front of the body. But when you go to physical therapy and perform your exercises, what direction are you moving most of the time? It's going to be towards the back, the opposite direction you're always going in. But you also have to remember that it is shortened muscles and fascia restrictions that's creating your pain in the first place. So yes, TOS can be prevented with exercise, but those exercises must be moving towards the back of the body and helping to open up the chest rather than towards the front of the body, which compresses the chest and moves it closer. So remember, to relieve your pain, you must start with self-massaging all the tight muscles and the fascia restrictions, and then you perform exercises towards the back of the body to prevent your pain from returning. Which may feel a little confusing, which is why I created the TOS Quick Relief Plan. Make sure to stick around and pay attention until the end to see how you can get 60% off. Question number 9. Can TOS come back even after being treated? Yes, it can if you're not making some kind of change to your lifestyle. Which brings us to the final question. What lifestyle changes can help manage thoracic outlet syndrome? The two main lifestyle changes you should be trying to make is number 1, trying to perform some kind of routine with the exercises we talked about earlier. And number 2, which is to start working on your posture. But instead of trying to work on your posture by keeping your head up and shoulders down and back, you're going to work on your posture by simply changing your positions throughout the day. Instead of just being hunched over typing on a computer all day, what you're going to start doing is simply changing up your posture every 30 minutes to an hour in order to prevent yourself from being in that position that created your TOS in the first place. Maybe. Let the constant shifting throughout the day help you prevent your TOS pain, while the exercises are going to help you build a stronger posture to prevent that pain from returning. Now earlier I talked about how you can get 60% off my TOS Quick Relief Plan, which you can do by taking my mini quiz based on this video. If you can answer all 3 questions right, then you will be sent your discount code. All you have to do is click on the link below, take the quiz and pass, and then let me know where to send your discount code. But of course, if you're not ready for that, then you can get a small taste of what this kind of work will do for you by clicking on one of these videos popping up.